10 years ago, I faked my own death and disappeared into the snow to protect my only daughter, but the new Sinaloa cartel just kidnapped her, and they forced me to dig up the monster I swore to destroy. I'd spent the last decade living as nothing more than a simple carpenter in a remote cabin deep in the Canadian woods. The cold had frozen my memories, and the blood on my hands finally felt washed away. Until this morning. I found a black wooden box sitting on my porch. Inside was my daughter's silver necklace stained with fresh red blood and an old satellite phone. When I answered it, a young, arrogant voice mocked me. He demanded the secret routes I used back in the 90s in exchange for her life. The stupid kid calling me had no idea who he was talking to. He had no clue he was waking up the old boss. I hung up the phone without saying a word. I walked down to the basement of my cabin and grabbed a heavy sledgehammer. With 3 swings, I smashed open the concrete floor I had sealed myself 10 years ago. From the damp dirt, I pulled out a steel chest. The second I opened it, the smell of old gunpowder and leather filled the room. There they were, my custom-made black suits, my solid gold ring with the engraved skull, and my 2 silver revolvers. I shaved off my gray beard in front of a cracked mirror. I put on the suit, and when I looked into my own eyes, the carpenter was gone. The devil of Sinaloa was back. I flew in on an unregistered private jet and landed at the border at midnight under a brutal rainstorm. I went straight to the mansion of the cartel's new leader, some kid who thought he ruled the world just because he kidnapped a little girl. His security guards, armed to the teeth, laughed when they saw me walking alone through the rain toward the front gate. I never reached for my guns. I simply raised my hand and let the lightning flash across the skull ring on my finger. The guards stopped laughing instantly. The older ones, the men who still remembered the rivers of blood I left behind years ago, lowered their rifles with shaking hands. I walked into the mansion like a ghost. The arrogant leader was sitting in a leather chair drinking tequila. The second he looked up and saw my face, the glass slipped from his hand and shattered across the floor. I walked slowly toward him, pulled out my silver revolver, pressed it against his forehead, and whispered in his ear, "You've got 60 seconds to give me back my little girl, or I'll erase your last name from history." But then the kid smiled with trembling lips and pointed at the television screen behind him. What I saw there turned my blood cold. If you want to know what I saw on that screen and how I destroyed this cartel piece by piece, comment the word narco and I'll upload part 2 right away.